Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center watching the screens that showed alien ships coming down from the sky. The ships were huge and dark against the blue Earth sky. He had been waiting for this day for 20 years, but he still felt his heart beating fast as he watched the enemy arrive. Ambassador Lisa Grant walked into the room with her face pale and her hands shaking. She had just returned from the meeting with the Galactic Council, and Jake could see in her eyes that the news was bad. Very bad. She stopped in front of his desk and took a deep breath before speaking. "The Council has made their decision," she said. "Quietly, they are calling us primitive species and they want to take over our planet. They gave us 72 hours to give up all our weapons and accept their rule. If we refuse, they will destroy every city on Earth." Jake looked at the woman, who had spent 5 years trying to make peace with the alien races. Lisa had learned their languages and studied their cultures. She had traveled to distant worlds and sat in their great halls trying to convince them that humans deserved respect. "Now all that work was over. The Council thinks we are like animals," she continued. "They believe we are too young and too stupid to govern ourselves. They want to put us in work camps and use us as slaves." The vote was not even close. Every member race agreed except for 2 small groups that did not matter. Commander Ryan Burke entered the room carrying data tablets filled with information about the alien fleet. He was the best military mind on Earth, and Jake trusted him completely. Ryan spread out the tablets on the table and began explaining what they faced. 300 warships surround our planet," he said, pointing to the display. "Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a continent. They have energy shields that can stop our missiles and laser weapons that can cut through our strongest armor. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours." Jake studied the numbers and felt the weight of command pressing down on him. Every person on Earth was depending on him to find a way to save them. The alien ships were already in position, and their weapons were aimed at major cities. In 72 hours, they would start firing unless Earth surrendered. But Jake Morrison had a secret that even his closest friends did not know. For 15 years, he had been working with Dr. Helen Parker on a project that could change everything. The Aurora project was hidden so deep that only 12 people in the entire world knew it existed. Not even the president knew what they had built in the mountains of Colorado. Dr. Parker entered the command center at that moment as if Jake had called her with his thoughts. She was a small woman with gray hair and bright eyes that missed nothing. She had spent her entire life studying alien technology and finding ways to make it work for humans. She walked straight to Jake and whispered in his ear. "The weapons are ready," she said so quietly that only he could hear. "The ships are in position and the crews are waiting for orders. We can strike them before they know what hit them." Jake felt a smile trying to form on his face, but he kept his expression serious. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitive humans who had barely learned to fly between planets. They had no idea what was waiting for them in the asteroid belt and on the hidden bases throughout the solar system. The Council representative appeared on the main screen at that moment. It was a tall creature made of what looked like living crystal. Its name was Zephyr, and it spoke in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. The creature had no respect for humans and made no effort to hide its contempt. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English, "you have been judged by the Galactic Council and found wanting. Your species lacks the wisdom to join the civilized races. As equals, you will surrender your weapons and submit to our guidance. Those who cooperate will be treated well. Those who resist will be eliminated." Jake looked around the room at his officers and saw determination in their faces. These were people who had spent their lives protecting Earth, and they would not give up without a fight. Ryan Burke was already making plans for the defense of major cities. Lisa Grant was preparing to contact other human colonies and warn them about what was coming, but Jake Morrison had different plans. He was not going to wait for the aliens to attack. He was not going to defend Earth from invasion. Instead, he was going to do something that no species in the galaxy had ever done before. He was going to attack the Galactic Council first and show them that humans were not as primitive as they thought. The crystal creature continued talking about surrender and submission, but Jake was no longer listening. He was thinking about the weapons hidden in the asteroid belt and the soldiers waiting in secret bases. He was thinking about the message he would send to every alien race in the galaxy. Earth would not surrender, and Earth would not submit. Earth would strike back. Deep inside the Colorado mountains, General Paul Carter walked through corridors that did not exist on any map. The Aurora project had been built in secret over 15 years, and now it was time to reveal what humanity had created. The elevator descended for 3 full minutes before stopping at a level that was carved from solid rock. Helen Parker stood waiting for him beside a massive steel door. She pressed her hand against the scanner, and the door opened to reveal the greatest secret in human history. The chamber beyond was enormous and filled with weapons and machines that looked like they came from science fiction movies. Lieutenant Amy Collins was waiting inside the chamber holding a strange-looking rifle. She raised the weapon and fired at a target made of the same material as alien ship armor. The energy beam passed right through the metal without even slowing down. The target exploded in a shower of sparks and melted fragments. "This is quantum phase technology," she explained to the general. "The energy passes through their shields like they are not even there. We studied their shield frequencies for 10 years and found a way to make our weapons ignore them completely. Their best defenses are useless against these guns." Captain Ben Rogers walked over wearing armor that looked like it was made of liquid metal. He pressed a button on his chest, and the armor changed color to match the wall behind him. Then he pressed another button and the armor became completely transparent. The captain seemed to vanish into thin air. "The armor learns from every attack," he said as he reappeared. "If they hit us with lasers, the armor adapts to stop laser fire. If they use projectiles, the armor hardens to deflect them. After a few minutes of combat, their weapons cannot hurt us at all." General Carter felt his heart racing as he looked at the technology around him. The aliens thought they were fighting primitive humans with simple weapons. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Dr. Parker led him to the center of the chamber, where a holographic display showed the entire solar system. "This is what we have been building," she said, pointing to dozens of red dots scattered throughout space. Each dot represents a hidden base with weapons and ships. The aliens scanned our solar system and found nothing. Because our technology is completely different from theirs, the largest red dot was in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Dr. Parker touched it, and the display zoomed in to show a massive space station hidden inside what looked like a normal asteroid. The station was bigger than any city on Earth and filled with warships. "These are our Nemesis-class battle cruisers," she said with pride in her voice. "We built 50 of them using technology stolen from crashed alien ships. But we did not just copy their designs, we made them better. Much better." Colonel Steve Martin joined them at the display. He was in charge of the human colonies on Luna and Mars. For years, the aliens had ignored these small settlements, thinking they were harmless mining operations. They were wrong about that too. Every colony has hidden weapons and trained soldiers. He reported, "The aliens think our miners are weak civilians, but most of them are actually military personnel. We have been preparing for this war since the first contact with alien races." Major Kate Thompson appeared on the communication screen from the Mars colony. She was standing in what looked like a mining facility, but General Carter could see weapon emplacements and defense systems in the background. The entire colony was actually a military fortress disguised as a peaceful settlement. "We are ready for battle," she said. "The aliens have no idea what they are about to face. Our orbital platforms are charged and our fighter squadrons are standing by. When they attack Earth, they will find out that humans are not as helpless as they think." Dr. Parker activated another display that showed the alien fleet surrounding Earth. 300 ships hung in space like a metal cloud waiting to destroy everything humans had built. But now General Carter could see something else on the screen. Small dots were moving toward the alien ships from all directions. Captain Don Williams commanded the secret human fleet from the bridge of the UES Retribution. His ship was invisible to alien sensors and armed with weapons that could cut through their hulls like paper. He had been waiting his entire career for this moment. The aliens expected humanity to beg for mercy or try to negotiate. They thought humans would panic and surrender when faced with superior technology. They were about to learn that humans do not give up easily. When cornered and threatened, humans become more dangerous than any predator in the galaxy. General Carter looked at their countdown timer on the wall. 68 hours remained before the alien ultimatum expired. But the aliens would not have to wait that long. In 12 hours, the human fleet would decloak and attack. The element of surprise would be complete. The age of alien dominance was about to end, and humans were going to make sure the entire galaxy knew it. Fleet Admiral Carr sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive planet below. The reptilian commander had destroyed dozens of worlds during his long career, and Earth would be no different. His scaled fingers drummed against the armrest of his command chair as he waited for the human surrender message. The communication console beeped, and Carr expected to hear the weak voice of a human leader begging for mercy. Instead, he heard something that made his blood run cold. Captain Tony Rodriguez appeared on the screen wearing a human military uniform and speaking with complete confidence. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the United Earth Fleet," he said, looking directly at Carr. "We reject your ultimatum and declare war on the Galactic Council. The age of your dominance ends today. You came here expecting to find helpless prey, but you found predators. Instead," Carr hissed in anger and reached for the weapons controls. No primitive species had ever dared to threaten the Council before. He would teach these humans what happened to those who defied their betters. But before he could give the order to fire, something impossible happened. Space around the Council fleet erupted with human warships. 50 massive vessels appeared from nowhere as their cloaking systems deactivated. The ships were sleek and deadly-looking with weapon ports that glowed with energy. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded the lead ship, and his voice echoed across all frequencies. "This is Admiral Morrison of the UES Retribution," he announced. "You came to our home thinking we were defenseless. You were wrong. Attack Formation Alpha. All ships fire at will." The first human salvo tore through the Council fleet like lightning through clouds. Quantum phase weapons passed through alien shields without slowing down and exploded inside the enemy ships. 3 Council vessels died in the opening seconds, and their debris scattered across space. Carr screamed orders at his crew, but they were too shocked to respond quickly. No one had ever attacked a Council fleet before. The aliens had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what real combat felt like. Their formations were designed for intimidation, not actual warfare. Commander Rachel Wells piloted her fighter squadron through the chaos of battle. Her small ships moved like angry wasps around the massive alien vessels. The humans used tactics that no civilized race would ever consider. They sent unmanned drones packed with explosives directly into enemy formations. The drones exploded in carefully planned patterns that disrupted alien sensor systems. Suddenly, the Council ships were flying blind while human fighters picked them off one by one. Wells rolled her ship between 2 alien cruisers and fired quantum torpedoes into their engine sections. On Earth, Colonel Steve Martin activated the Planetary Defense Network. Massive rail guns rose from hidden positions in mountains and deserts. The weapons had been disguised as research stations and mining equipment, but now they revealed their true purpose. They fired projectiles at incredible speeds toward the alien ships. The Council had never faced kinetic weapons moving at such velocities. Their energy shields were designed to stop plasma bolts and laser beams, not solid metal traveling at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectiles punched through their defenses and tore massive holes in their hulls. Admiral Morrison watched from his bridge as the alien fleet began to break apart. The Council ships were individually more powerful than human vessels, but they had never fought an enemy that refused to follow the rules of civilized warfare. Humans attacked from multiple directions at once and used weapons that ignored traditional defenses. Captain Ben Rogers led a boarding party onto a damaged alien cruiser. His adaptive armor made him nearly invulnerable to their weapons, while his quantum phase rifle cut through their bulkheads like paper. The aliens inside had never faced humans in close combat, and they learned too late that humans were natural predators. The battle raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Council fleet had been built to intimidate inferior races, not to fight a real war. One by one their ships were either destroyed or disabled. Those that could still move began retreating toward the edge of the solar system. Admiral Carr looked at his tactical display and felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Half of his fleet was gone and the rest were fleeing in panic. His flagship was badly damaged and his crew was demoralized. The humans had done the impossible and defeated the mighty Council fleet. Captain Rodriguez appeared on the screen again, but this time he was standing on the bridge of a captured alien vessel. Behind him, Council prisoners were being led away in chains. The human looked directly at Carr and smiled coldly. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We know where you come from and we know where you are going. Tell your council that Earth has awakened and we are coming for them. The galaxy will know that humans are not prey anymore." Carr shut off the communication and ordered his remaining ships to retreat. As they fled the solar system, he knew that everything had changed. The humans had shattered the myth of Council invincibility, and word would spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Other races would start to wonder if they too could fight back against their oppressors. The age of fear was over and the age of human expansion was about to begin. Captain Dan Williams watched the fleeing Council ships on his display screen and felt the hunger for battle burning in his chest. The human fleet had won the first fight, but the war was far from over. He turned to his crew and saw the same fierce determination in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. "We are not letting them escape," he announced. "All ships prepare for a pursuit. We are going to hunt them down and show the galaxy that humans do not accept defeat quietly. Set course for the edge of the solar system and engage maximum speed." The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves, chasing wounded prey. Their ships were faster than the alien vessels and their weapons had longer range. One by one they caught up with the stragglers and destroyed them without mercy. The Council forces that had seemed so powerful just hours before were now running for their lives. Dr. Helen Parker sat in her laboratory studying the alien communication signals that her team had intercepted. Agent Susan Clark worked beside her, translating the desperate messages between Council ships. The aliens were panicking and sending requests for help to every military base in their territory. "They are terrified," she reported to Admiral Morrison. "Their messages talk about demon ships that appear from nowhere and weapons that cannot be stopped. They are calling for massive reinforcements and warning other fleets to stay away from human space." Meanwhile, Major Kate Thompson led her special forces team on a raid against a Council supply depot in the Centauri system. The aliens had built the facility to support their invasion fleet, but now it would serve a different purpose. Her soldiers moved through the station like ghosts, killing guards and stealing everything useful. Lieutenant Eric Johnson hacked into the alien computer systems while his teammates planted explosives. The information they found was worth more than all the weapons and supplies combined. The database contained star charts showing every Council military base and the locations of dozens of slave worlds. "We hit the jackpot," he whispered into his communicator. "They have complete records of every oppressed species in the galaxy. There are millions of beings who hate the Council just as much as we do. If we can contact them, we will have allies everywhere." General Paul Carter studied the intelligence reports in his command center. The Council Empire was much larger than humans had imagined, but it was also more fragile. Most member species were held in line by fear rather than loyalty. If that fear could be broken, the entire structure might collapse. Commander Ryan Burke coordinated with newly discovered rebel groups throughout the galaxy. The Vraxian resistance had been fighting the Council for centuries, but they had never had hope of victory. When they learned about the human success at Earth, they immediately offered to join the war. Captain Sandra Hill established contact with the Forgotten Collective on the far edge of the galaxy. These were species that had been driven from their homeworlds by Council expansion. They had spent generations hiding in the darkness between stars, but now they saw a chance for revenge. The hunt continued for 3 weeks as human forces tracked down every Council ship they could find. Captain Williams had become a legend among his crews as they followed him deeper into alien territory. His ship, the UES Retribution, left a trail of destroyed enemy vessels. Across multiple star systems, the Council tried to set traps and ambush, but human tactics were too unpredictable. Admiral Morrison split his fleet into small groups that attacked from different directions. When the aliens concentrated their forces to stop one group, another would appear behind them and destroy their supply lines. Colonel Steve Martin received reports from liberated worlds where human forces had broken the chains of Council slavery. The freed populations were eager to join the fight against their former oppressors. Entire species that had been considered extinct were emerging from hiding to stand with humanity. Agent Clark intercepted a communication from the Council homeworld that made everyone stop and listen. The message was from High Counselor Zephyr Prime himself, and it revealed the true scope of alien desperation. The Council was calling in military forces from across the galaxy and preparing for total war. They are assembling the largest fleet in galactic history, she reported. Every Council member is contributing ships and soldiers. They plan to destroy Earth and all human colonies as an example to other species. The fleet will be 10 times larger than what we faced before. Admiral Morrison looked at the intelligence reports and felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The Council was bringing everything they had to crush humanity before the rebellion could spread. It would be the biggest battle in galactic history, and the fate of billions would depend on the outcome. But Jake Morrison was not afraid. The aliens still thought they were fighting primitive humans with simple weapons. They had no idea what other surprises Dr. Parker had prepared in her secret laboratories. The Council wanted total war, and humanity would give it to them. The hunt was ending, but the real battle was just beginning. High Counselor Zephyr Prime stood before the emergency assembly on Nexus Prime, feeling something he had never experienced in his 1,000-year life. The crystalline being's normally calm demeanor was shattered as he addressed the gathered representatives. Of every major species in the galaxy, the humans have achieved the impossible, he announced to the shocked crowd. They have defeated our fleets and liberated 17 worlds in just 3 weeks. Our military commanders report that human forces are using tactics and weapons we have never seen before. A fight like savage beasts with no regard for civilized rules of warfare. Counselor Vex of the Car Empire slammed his clawed fist on the table and hissed with rage. The reptilian warrior had built his reputation on conquest and had never tasted defeat before the humans humiliated his forces. His yellow eyes burned with the need for revenge as he spoke. We must gather every ship and every soldier in the Empire, he growled. These primitive mammals must be crushed completely. Glass their worlds and kill every human in the galaxy. Make them an example so no other species will dare to challenge us again. The other Council members nodded their agreement. For too long, they had grown soft and comfortable in their dominance. The humans had reminded them that power meant nothing without the will to use it ruthlessly. They would show the galaxy what happened to those who dared to rebel. Captain Tony Rodriguez intercepted the Council communications from his position near the edge of their territory. The aliens were pulling military forces from every corner of the galaxy and assembling them at a staging area called the Nexus System. The fleet they were building was massive beyond imagination. Admiral Morrison studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. The Council was bringing together more than 5,000 warships along with millions of soldiers. They had weapons that could destroy entire planets and were planning to use them on Earth and every human colony. But the most terrifying discovery came from Dr. Helen Parker's research team. Agent Susan Clark had found references to something called the Stellar Converter in the alien communications. It was a weapon that could turn a star into a massive bomb capable of destroying everything within several light years. They planned to use our own sun against us, Dr. Parker explained to the assembled military leaders. The device can cause a solar flare so powerful it will sterilize every planet in the system. They will kill every human while leaving the worlds ready for their own colonization. Colonel Steve Martin felt cold fear grip his heart as he realized what they were facing. The Council was not just planning to defeat humanity. They wanted to erase humans from existence and use their destruction as a warning to every other species in the galaxy. It would be genocide on a scale never seen before, Major Kate Thompson reported from her position near the Nexus system where she was conducting reconnaissance. The Council forces were already beginning to gather, and their numbers grew larger every day. Ships from 100 different species were arriving to join the massive armada. We are outnumbered 10 to 1, she transmitted back to Earth. Their fleet is so large it blocks out the stars. I have never seen so many warships in one place. They have enough firepower to destroy 1,000 worlds. Lieutenant Eric Johnson worked frantically in Dr. Parker's laboratory, trying to find a way to stop the stellar converter. The weapon used exotic matter to destabilize stellar cores and create chain reactions that would spread across multiple star systems. It was technology far beyond anything humans had developed. Commander Ryan Burke coordinated with the rebel forces throughout the galaxy. The Vraxian resistance was mobilizing every ship they could find while the Forgotten Collective was emerging from hiding to join the fight. But even with all their allies, humanity was still vastly outnumbered. Captain Dan Williams prepared his fleet for what might be the final battle. His ships were hidden in the asteroid fields near the Nexus system, waiting for the order to attack. The human crews knew they might not survive the coming fight, but they were determined to make the Council pay dearly for their victory. General Paul Carter looked at the tactical displays showing the enemy fleet and felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Everything humanity had built was about to be tested in the fires of war. If they failed, there would be no second chances and no mercy from their enemies. Dr. Parker worked day and night trying to find a weakness in the stellar converter design. The quantum technology that had given humanity its edge in battle might be the key to stopping the weapon. But time was running out, and the Council fleet was almost ready to attack. The final confrontation was approaching, and the fate of the galaxy would be decided in the next few days. Humanity had started this war by striking back at their oppressors, but now they faced total annihilation. The Council was bringing everything they had to crush the human rebellion once and for all. The final battle began at dawn in the Nexus system, where the Council's massive fleet waited like a dark cloud against the stars. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded 500 human ships joined by their alien allies, but they were still outnumbered 10 to 1. The odds were impossible, but humans had faced impossible odds before. Captain Dan Williams led the first wave of attackers against the stellar converter platform. The massive weapon floated in the center of the Council fleet, protected by layers of shields and defensive systems. If the device activated, it would turn Earth's sun into a weapon of mass destruction and kill every human in the galaxy. The human fighters moved like angry hornets through the enemy formations. Lieutenant Amy Collins piloted her quantum fighter through a storm of alien fire while her squadron mates launched torpedo attacks against the converter's shield generators. The Council defenses were strong, but they had never faced human determination before. Commander Rachel Wells coordinated the Allied fleet movements as ships from dozens of species joined the battle. The Vraxian resistance fighters flew alongside human vessels while the Forgotten Collective emerged from hyperspace to attack the Council's flanks. For the first time in centuries, the oppressed races were fighting back together on the converter platform itself. Captain Ben Rogers led a boarding party through the alien corridors. His adaptive armor protected him from their weapons while his quantum rifle cut through their defenses. The Council guards had never faced humans in close combat, and they learned too late that humans were natural predators. High Counselor Zephyr Prime watched the battle from his flagship and felt panic rising in his crystalline chest. The humans were supposed to be primitive savages who would break under superior firepower. Instead, they fought with a fury that seemed to make them stronger as the battle continued. The converter weapon began charging its exotic matter core despite the human attacks. Dr. Helen Parker monitored the readings from her position on the UES Retribution and knew they were running out of time. The weapon would be ready to fire in less than an hour, and nothing could stop it once the process began. Lieutenant Eric Johnson worked frantically to hack into the converter's control systems. while battle raged around him. The alien technology was incredibly complex, but he had studied their systems for years. His fingers flew across the interface as he searched for a way to reverse the charging process. Admiral Morrison led the main fleet in a desperate assault against the Council's command ships. The alien formations were breaking apart under the human attack, but their numbers were still overwhelming. For every Council ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place in the endless stream of reinforcements. Counselor Vex commanded the car battle fleet and threw everything he had at the human forces. His reptilian warriors fought with savage determination, but they could not match the human combination of advanced technology and pure fighting spirit. His ships were being destroyed faster than he could count. Major Kate Thompson's Special Forces team reached the converter's core chamber just as the weapon entered its final charging phase. The exotic matter was beginning to destabilize and would soon reach critical mass. She looked at the massive device and knew that conventional explosives would not be enough to stop it. Lieutenant Collins made the decision that would change everything. She flew her quantum fighter directly at the converter's core while her squadron mates provided covering fire. The alien defenders tried to stop her, but she was moving too fast and flying too well for their weapons to track. Her quantum torpedoes struck the converter's exotic matter containment field at the exact moment the weapon reached critical mass. The resulting explosion was unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy. The converter turned inside out and created a cascade reaction that spread through the entire Council fleet. Captain Williams watched from his command bridge as the massive explosion consumed hundreds of Council ships. The weapon they had planned to use against Earth became their own funeral pyre. The blast was so powerful it could be seen from neighboring star systems. High Counselor Zephyr Prime realized his fleet was doomed as the explosion spread toward his flagship. The humans had done the impossible again and turned the Council's ultimate weapon against them. His last thought was wonder at how badly he had underestimated the primitive species from Earth. The battle ended not with surrender, but with abandonment. The surviving Council species fled in different directions as their empire collapsed around them. The car retreated to their homeworld while the Zephyrites disappeared into deep space. The great alliance that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was broken forever. Commander Ryan Burke accepted the formal surrender of the remaining Council forces in a ceremony broadcast throughout the galaxy. The age of Council dominance was over and a new era of freedom had begun. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were finally free to choose their own destiny. Earth had struck back against impossible odds and won. The Council had been left in shock by the fury of humanity unleashed. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humans had proven that sometimes the smallest species could change everything.